evening, and welcome to yet another Star Trek podcast. I'm your host, Brad, and I hope everybody's having a fantastic Father's Day. We are actually recording on June 19th. For all those wonderful fathers out there, happy Father's Day. And of course, as usual, my two misfits are joining me as usual. Drew and Majeed, how you guys doing there, guys?
I don't like that you just called me a misfit.
It's accurate though.
It's
fair,
true.
but
It's very true.
No, I get it's accurate.
I mean, I guess I could just call you Terry Crews, but you know.
Oh, right. That reference, I was making my man boobs dance for Brad. He had never seen it before.
Listen, you do not insult Terry Crews that way. That man is a national treasure.
Did you just insult Majeed by saying?
Yeah, you just insulted me by defending Terry Crews?
Yes.
Wow.
Tell me I'm wrong.
That's fair.
I can't argue. I really can't argue with that question there. So how you guys been? How's everything been going? I know it's been quite a busy week for all of us.
I just saw you 7 days ago.
Yes, that's why I said a quite busy week for all of us.
No, but like actually saw you, like
physically saw me. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I was able to hug and touch you.
I wasn't. I had to work.
And
well, I touched him for you.
Thank you.
Oh, and Drew, I guess you may not have heard of this, but to our wonderful listeners, some news for you too. My wife and I are expecting a child, and we're coming up on I think two more months until we're due.
Yay!
Yes.
Oh my God, that's great! I had no idea.
But I was up in Connecticut with my wife for our baby shower, and Majeed was kind enough to do those pre-maternity pictures. I don't know what they're called. Those pictures.
Is it pre-maternity if she's already pregnant?
Right. If she's not pregnant yet, then it's pre-maternity pictures.
Okay.
So normal. So basically a normal picture.
So then it would be maternity pictures.
So I guess if you took a photo of me, it's pre-maternity technically.
Yeah, technically. I mean, until you get pregnant. But anyways, Majeed was kind enough to take pictures for my wife and I, and they came out fantastic.
He says they came out great. I mean, the world will never know.
So to insert a little tagline, Majeed, what's your you should totally dish out a calling card, your email address to let everybody know that you're open for business.
I am open for business. I just don't have a name for the business.
Well, then, to all of our listeners, if you think of a name for Majeed's business, shoot us an email.
Except you, Franks. Franks, you stay out of this.
I have a suggestion.
What's that, Drew?
Is it Franks like?
Yet another maternity photographer.
Go right in with theme.
Yeah. So we'll add it to the list. I mean, whatever Franks gives us is not going to be any worse.
Well,
I bet.
Well, the one thing that was a little bit interesting during that photo shoot. So we found a nice little spot, nice little area right on the Connecticut River, overlooking, and there was like a bunch of gazebos, and we're taking pictures in the gazebos. We get back to my parents' house. We're telling my dad how everything looks good, and he's like, my dad's like, yeah, oh yeah, there's homeless guys that live underneath the gazebo.
And how do you live under a gazebo?
Well, it's like kind of a hill-ish.
Yeah, there's a bit of an incline. But we got there, right, just to kind of add that to a little bit of backstory. We get there to the gazebo, and there's what appears to be a bundle of clothing on the corner bench. And there's also oranges, like 2 tangerines there.
It was 3.
For no reason. Yeah. Oh, 3? Well, whatever. Well, and if this person, hypothetically, were underneath the gazebo, they heard me talking junk about his tangerines. They're also looking up my shorts, and they would have heard me threaten to steal their tangerines.
That's really low, man. You were going to steal tangerines from a homeless guy?
I was hungry. Listen, ask Brad how many meatballs I had.
Oh my God. My parents salute you, sir. My mother made these sweet meatball like appetizer things, and I guess Majeed thought, hey, you know what? This is the food that I get to eat today. It's just these sweet meatballs, so I'm just gonna pile them on my plate. And I swear he had to have eaten at least 20.
Oh my god!
So all right, just a little more clarification because Brad's just like defamating my character right now. I need to have a certain amount of protein. And not a lot of carbs, so there were other foods there. Just that when it came to the food I really can eat, it's the meatballs because it's protein.
Keep in mind, it was appetizer food that was currently out.
I had no idea that there was like a main meal. I thought it was just like finger foods, and then there were other meatballs that I had.
Yes, my mother made like really nice homemade meatballs from scratch. And they're the savory type, and then we also got chicken parm and pasta.
All right, so there was pasta, and Brad gave me a hard time because I had no pasta.
Well, you don't like?
I give you a hard time for not having the chicken parm.
You didn't have chicken parm?
Well, no, I didn't have the chicken parm. It was breaded chicken parm.
He just ate the balls. That's all.
Hey, easy. Frank's is gonna jump on that.
Are you like
comments.
Just not eating gluten too? Is that a part of your diet at this?
No. I just thought I have to. I gotta, hit a certain number for protein to keep muscle while I continue to cut.
So, but
my cheat day will be on Saturday after the terrain race, which yet another Star Trek podcast will have a present at. By which I mean, out of the three of us, I will be the only one participating in the run.
You can do it, Majeed. Win the race.
It's not an actual race. There's no first place, second place. It's basically an obstacle course. It's basically, think of the Spartan run, the Spartan race, except like a mini Spartan race.
You know who says things like that?
Terry Crews.
People who don't know how to win.
You're gonna be a tiger dad, aren't you?
Well, Drew, we missed you, buddy, at the shower. So next time, if there is a next time, you're welcome to come.
I appreciate that. I much would have rather have been at the baby shower than what I ended up doing that evening, but
Yeah. Listen, Brad's father, by the way, just seriously, he is Brad.
Oh, I believe it.
That's pretty accurate.
I believe it.
Yeah.
And I think my dad was a little tipsy at that point.
I believe that too.
Really? What gave it away? No, I like your father. I wouldn't mind him adopting me too.
Yeah, he ended up hanging around Majeed, Franks, Wayne, and my buddy Nelson. Who
is that his real name, or you just gave him like a pseudonym like you gave for Franks?
I gave him a pseudonym.
Oh, all right. Oh, speaking of friends, there exists a picture of you holding a watermelon, a melon of some sorts, and you have this look on your face. Can you give me the backstory on this? You said that you would tell us today.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, what happened is, for some reason, my phone decided to populate this picture that is like 10 years old. And Majeed, you're more than welcome to go ahead and Photoshop it up, man, and post it on our social media.
I don't need your permission. I don't need your permission.
Yeah, you're good. But no, it is not a watermelon. It's a picture of me at Easter holding up a hard-boiled ostrich egg.
I have more questions. I still have questions.
And
what is an ostrich egg? Is that a real
the
thing?
ostrich egg is a painted dinosaur.
Jeed, have you ever seen an ostrich egg?
No, I don't think those
are real.
Go to
Whole Foods, man. Go to Whole Foods. I'm serious. They haven't.
So do you eat them like a normal egg? Do you scramble them?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
They're like the equivalent of like a dozen eggs or something. One of them is.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah. So to give you more context on the whole situation is that every year for many years, my family would have Easter and we would hold an egg spinning competition where, one versus one, and you kind of have a full bracket, and the winner takes home a trophy, and you spin an egg. And you know what? I was like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go big this year. So I got an ostrich egg, and it took me about I think it was an hour, maybe 2 hours to hard boil that ostrich egg.
I was gonna say
that thing is freaking huge and did not fit or fully submerge in any pot that I had. But it was me trying to boil it for 2 hours. It was hilarious. And then we got there. I remember very clearly I had a lunch pail cooler, and I pull out my egg, and everybody in my family is like, what in the F do you have there? I had to special order it, by the way. I had a special order from Texas.
What?
Because they didn't have it in Whole Foods at the time.
All right, so I'm going to read you a couple of facts from livestrong.com about ostrich eggs.
Livestrong.com, the authority on ostrich eggs.
Right, which is, again, I don't know if this is true. So one ostrich egg contains about 2,000 calories, 100 grams of fat, 235 grams of protein. They go on to say, think of it like this. Just one of those eggs can weigh up to 5 pounds, take 45 to 90 minutes to cook, and is equivalent to having 28 large chicken eggs.
Yeah.
So it's not really a practical food source. I think there's one way we can settle this. We can get 28 large chicken eggs from Frank's, and we can get one of these ostrich eggs. We can compare them.
I like it. Eggs are my favorite food, so I love eggs.
So after the competition, I of course was like, you know what? What am I gonna do with a giant ostrich egg that's hard boiled? Brought it home, cracked it open, and made egg salad sandwich.
It must have been a big sandwich.
Well, I ended up making
28 sandwiches.
28 sandwiches. Yeah, it was. There's just so much egg, and it tasted pretty much exactly like an hard-boiled egg would, but the consistency was a bit different. It definitely did not look immediately like a normal hard-boiled egg, so it was an interesting experience.
I bet. I'd like to try one. So, that would be fun.
Yes, you like what Majeed said, you'd need an hour and a half to hard boil that thing.
I wouldn't hard boil it. I would probably scramble it. I'd scramble it.
Oh, scramble it. Okay.
Yeah. Because then you can
make a giant omelet.
You could.
So this week we watched the Serene Squall, another episode that starts off with Spock having clear relationship troubles with T'Pring. She apparently is a bit more adventurous than Spock is, doing research on human sex. Being a bit taken aback, Spock suggests more a collaborative approach and read the books together. I don't know about you folks, but I kind of feel like Spock's taking this deer head on.
Yeah, T'Pring just starts throwing all these novels that she's been reading about, human sex, just because he's half human. She's like, oh, this is the solution to our problems.
It was a pretty funny scene when she told Spock what she was researching. It was one of those, what are you doing?
Yeah. Because she's so deadpan, so logical about it. And Spock, also equally deadpan, but with a completely different reaction.
Yes, it's kind of like it would never have occurred to him kind of situation.
Well, I think he might have been too embarrassed to, you know what I mean? I know Vulcans are supposed to have control of their emotion, but Spock was pretty embarrassed in that scene.
Well, getting into the actual story of the episode, Pike has cooked a meal for several of the crew members as well as the new guest, Dr. Aspen. The crew enjoys a few good laughs. Aspen explains about a pirate ship called the Serene Squall, and apparently Pike is Starfleet's Boy Scout, which apparently is actually in his file And I would like to see that file now.
Oh yeah,
I want to see him being called a Boy Scout. I think that's kind of hilarious.
I want to see in this file where he's called Zaddy.
That's that part's
is it classified?
When you black it out,
classified.
No, well, yeah. I mean, the file is classified, but redacted. There
redacted. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we learn that they are on their way to provide aid to stranded colonist ships. However, things seem pretty grim upon their arrival, and they find 2 of the 3 ships destroyed. It is quickly suspected the colonists were taken to be sold off as slaves. Pike makes the decision to search for the missing ship, despite Starfleet being 2 days away from communicating with them. The crew eventually finds the missing ship. All 200 colonists are apparently being held captive inside. Pike and several crew members beam over to try and rescue them. However, it turns out to be a whole ruse when they don't find any of the colonists. Pirates beam over to the Enterprise at the same moment and take over the ship. Number 1 is able to lock the ship down before she is captured, and Spock, Aspen, and Nurse Chapel manage to flee and work towards freeing the ship. I have to say, like the fight sequence when the pirates taking over, and they doing that dive from Dr. Aspen to protect Spock, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was well done, and I like the sneaky like guerrilla tactics that Chapel was doing.
Oh yeah. No, that Chapel was to me, in my opinion, MVP in this episode.
Pretty high in that list, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Pike and the other captured crew members are interrogated by the pirates, and of course, Mr. Boy Scout does what he does best and cooks his way into the heart of his captors. Eventually, he starts to sow doubt in some of the crew members and kind of staging for a mutiny. Back on the Enterprise, Spock, Aspen, and Chapel manage to secure engineering and begin to take control of the ship. This is quickly foiled when it turns out Aspen was actually the pirate captain all along, Angel, and she takes full control of the ship. The whole scheme was just a ruse to have to bring a prisoner and exchange him for Spock's life. Spock is able to convince T'Pring not to go through with it by pretending to have an affair with Nurse Chapel. This allowed enough time for Pike and the rest of the crew to take control of the Serene Squall and take back control of the Enterprise. Angel, however, escapes by transporting to a nearby ship alone, and Spock later explains the prisoner she was attempting to release was his half-brother, Sybok.
Ooh.
To sum up this episode, cooking for your captors is a great way to start a mutiny. Spock is a hot mess, and a hyperspray is just as effective as a phaser. Gentlemen, that was some episode we had there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't have quite as many plot twists as some of the other episodes we've encountered these past couple weeks, but
you mean like last week's episode where I had like a plot twist every 5 minutes?
No, there definitely wasn't. But there was still a few twists here and there. Majeed, I know you really enjoyed the twist with Aspen going from being on the side of the Starfleet then to be the villain of the day.
She went from bad girl to bad girl, like she went to be like a pretty formidable foe for the Enterprise. A couple of things, man. I enjoyed the episode where I enjoyed the part of the episode where it's basically Die Hard.
Yeah.
And they're hiding in the fence.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the one-man army in Nurse Chapel, which, by the way, when she took out the entire invading force inside of engineering, and Spock is like, oh, okay, well,
yeah, cool. I guess we'll do it this way.
That
Right.
was pretty badass.
Yeah. I think looking towards the episode, there were a few things that kind of had a little bit of I had some problems with, but I think for the most part it was a good episode overall. One of the common reoccurrences is Pike cooks. He likes to cook a lot. And I feel like there's going to be no end to that point. And it's just going to be a continued reoccurring adventure.
It does seem to be a recurring thing, which I like. I like that he has his thing that he does with the crew on a semi-regular basis. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I like that part a good deal. I think, honestly, at first I didn't really care for Dr. Aspen as a character. It felt very pushed into it when we were talking about her as Dr. Aspen, but that kind of changed once it was switched over to Angel. Turns out the pirate captain. And I kind of got a little bit more comfortable with the character because it made more sense to me. I could be wrong entirely, but my view was kind of like when they had her as Dr. Aspen, I kind of felt like it was they casted wrong because it didn't feel like the way they described the character they were talking about her. It kind of felt off. But then they did the reveal, and it made more sense. It was like, okay, now I get it, and it made more sense. So how about you guys? Did you guys have any type of experience like that?
Ooh, with her?
Yeah, with Aspen.
Oh, I thought they meant like in general, like in real life.
Yeah, I'll go with real life. Sure. Do you have any of the issues where your wife is like, one thing, and then all of a sudden she turns out to be some crazy person?
Well, I mean,
that's a trap.
Yeah, I'm not answering that question. So the face tattoo should have given us an idea she was a bad guy, right?
That's kind of why I had such a weird feeling about the character in the beginning. Was like, hey, wasn't it like an octopus tentacle or something?
It's just, I don't know. I mean, just a little.
She's not Stu from The Hangover though. It's not like she just got drunk and wanted to get
like a giant face tat. Yeah.
Right.
I must have missed this line of dialogue, but I guess Dr. Aspen is somebody, like it's an actual character, and from what I understand, Angel just like left her stranded somewhere.
The real Dr. Aspen, like we don't really know where or if the crew of the Enterprise were able to find her after this. Like just kind of they didn't mention it again, right?
It was a throwaway line that she was, stranded somewhere, presumed dead, and that was it.
Never to be heard of again.
The whole the other thing that kind of was a little bit off for me was with the other pirate crew that was on the Serene Squall. There was a clear, guy who was in charge. But like the question is like, was Angel the real person in charge, was it just, or was Angel using them to get like what she wanted?
I got the vibe that Angel was the leader and that the crew that was on the Serene Squall was under her command.
And so the problem I have with that part is that if you think about Pike's plan to create a mutiny, like would that really work though? Because that guy that was like he was making the crew question or the pirates question was, if he's not really the captain, like why would they really need to be worried about what he does?
I don't know.
Yeah, that one struck me kind of as weird too. I was hoping you guys would explain it to me, but I was more excited for the fact that that was an Orion.
Yeah,
that was an Orion. That was Tendy's race from Lower Decks.
You bailed out on Discovery a little early, but we have seen Orions in Discovery as well. It's nice to see them exploring that race more because they really didn't do much with them outside of the original series.
They're the villains, the Orion Syndicate, or whatever that was called in the third season.
If Tendi hears you say that, she would not
Orion
be happy.
Syndicate is from Deep Space Nine. In Discovery...
Oh, the chain.
Emerald Chain.
Emerald Chain, that's what it was. Yeah. But no, I don't know. The Orions were okay. Not, I mean, I think my favorite villain of all Star Trek would probably be like the Dominion. I think they're probably my favorite, then followed by the Borg. But the Emerald Chain was okay. I guess this guy though, the captain of the Serene Squall, or the supposed captain, I think to me that was like a bit of it was a little confusing for me, because it really felt like he was in charge of that group while Angel was in charge of this other group, and she was like taking advantage of the situation. That's kind of how I was seeing it. Because if it was really Angel was in charge of both groups, then the crew of the Serene Squall had no reason to form a mutiny, right? Because they can just know Angel is going to be the one in charge, and they'll just trust her. And quite frankly, she seems a lot more competent than the other guy.
Yeah, it's a little loose and sloppy with the continuity, but I don't think it necessarily took anything away from the story overall.
Majeed, how about you? Did you were you confused just as much as I was?
Yeah, because I think every 5 minutes I was messaging you guys like, "Oh my God, look, an Orion," or "Oh my God, Die Hard in Space."
So what you're telling us is that you should probably watch an episode without your phone near you.
I mean, shut up. It's impossible. I did set my phone down. The episode started off slow for me. I don't know. It started off slow. Yeah, I think I messaged Drew when I started watching the episode on Thursday. And I'm like, hey, are they? Is she trying to initiate phone sex with Spock?
Oh, jeez.
Like, what's happening right now?
Okay.
And it took me. So I started Thursday. Friday passed. Saturday, I had to restart the episode this morning before I left for church, and I watched it 5 minutes before we start recording. Finished it. So this one was a bit of a.
What matters is that you finished it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm always good to finish. I mean, I can always finish. That's not a problem for me.
So, trying to move away from the obvious joke here. What about Nurse Chapel though? I think she was MVP for this episode.
I felt so bad for Chapel.
Oh yeah. God, yeah. With the because you could tell that she has feelings for Spock.
Well, we knew that in TOS though.
Did we?
Did we?
Yeah, during Naked Time, she professed her feelings for him during Naked Time. I'm sorry, Naked Time.
I'm not putting the music in, but
yeah, she did.
You know what though? I don't think of anything that was professed during that episode as
true.
Necessarily being true.
She wanted the Spock banana.
I mean, I don't know. People were acting in ways that they normally wouldn't have in that.
It was
episode.
lowered inhibitions.
Lowered inhibitions, right? So
right.
I don't count that in my opinion. You know, if she made a move on him outside of being under the influence, then maybe. But
well, I can understand your point, Majeed. Though, it does make a bit of sense there. But I kind of agree a little bit more with Drew on this. I wouldn't necessarily trust that those episodes. But then again, that could be just the writers trying to write into that situation where she's always been in love with Spock.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
I mean, we of course will have hopefully many more seasons to come of Strange New Worlds.
Well, we've got at least one
9.
more. We've got at least one more.
Yes.
Stop it, Drew. I want 9 more.
I'm good with 7.
7's a comfortable number, but it's
Stretching, pushing
Well, it's not the same because we had 7 seasons with 26 episodes a season. It's different nowadays, you know.
Well, so think about those 26 episodes though. Like how much actually progressed.
Yeah, I mean, some of them were pretty dragged out.
Yep.
You know, it wasn't always a hit.
But but back to Chapel though, I thought she was kicking ass pretty well.
She was. No,
she was.
Chapel did great. I mean, you know, she used her resources effectively. She knows that she's not somebody that's going to necessarily do well in a shootout. So she stuck to what works best for her.
Yeah.
And that's using medicine to her advantage.
Yeah. No, do you kind of feel how it was so easy for the pirates to take control of the Enterprise? That seemed like a little too easy for.
Yeah, yeah. They're you know, invading the most advanced starship in the Federation with the best crew in the Federation, and they just took over the whole ship in like a matter of moments.
Yeah,
seems a little far-fetched to me.
It did. How about you, Majeed?
Yeah, listen. There's a lot of plot armor. The fact that Chapel was able to take down these guys with what I assume is a lethal dose of cocaine.
I would say non-lethal dose would be more accurate.
We don't know if they died.
She's a nurse.
That whole ship takeover scene I thought was exciting. It made me put my phone down. You know, the bridge being invaded and Spock, you know, Vulcan sleeper holding everyone left and right. I thought it was just fantastic.
How did you feel
throwing somebody?
How did you feel about the fact that these invaders essentially took over the ship without much trouble, though?
Well, most of their security force was on the planet, right?
Well, I mean, that was like what, 10 people at most,
right? And Sam Kirk was still in a coma.
But I think to my view is that how could it be that 10 people is the entire security force to send over and to protect the entire Enterprise? Like, how is it that? I mean, sure they'll be by surprise, but to me there was a lack of explanation. They could have elaborated more maybe on a sense of Angel had done reconnaissance or something like that, and you know knew where all the patrol positioning was, so they could easily get taken out. Something, I don't know, something like that, like a throw-in.
This whole episode is just a series of convenient events, one after another.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate statement. I think, though, the whole point of the episode is to get to the final talking point that I really wanted to get to, the ending of the episode.
Okay, hit me. I'm ready.
Sybok.
Ooh,
so,
yeah.
Drew, before I go to you, I'm going to go with Majeed.
Ah, you jerk.
Majeed, what are your thoughts on Sybok?
He's a character. He's Spock's half-brother. And he was in Star Trek V, where he died. Sorry. Kylo also wants to talk about it. Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
Don't even edit this.
My cat is sitting outside the closed door of this room, meowing at the top of his lungs.
Buddy, I love you, but you gotta go. You gotta go. I'm talking Star Trek right now. You like Star Wars, remember? You're Kylo. Don't stab me with a lightsaber. Okay. Right, yeah. So I guess Sybok dies in Star Trek V by sacrificing himself to save Spock. So he can't be all bad.
Well, he's also the villain throughout the entire film. So
Jesus, what a spoiler. I guess there's no need for me to watch it anymore.
I mean, you learn that within the first, few minutes of the movie. Yeah. So
I mean,
Drew, were you expecting something like this?
I was not. So, first of all, I would say that Star Trek V is probably the film I've seen the least amount of times. It is not among my favorite Star Trek films. I don't know if it's a better film or a worse film than the first one, in my opinion. But it is probably the one that I've seen the least. So my memory of it is not as strong as some of the others. I remember certain scenes vividly, and then the rest of the film, including most of Sybok, is just kind of, it's just blank.
I'm right there with you. For some reason, the original movies, the odd movies, 1, 3, and 5 are the ones I've seen the least, whereas the even ones, 2, 4, and 6, I can't tell you how many times I've seen, because it's just been too many.
That's generally I think most of the fans would agree with that.
But I do recall 5 probably a lot more than 1 and 3. I think the only reason why that is that, like, I know my grandmother would like take me to movies, and she'd would take me to these like really cheap movies on the weekends, and she took me to that one. I probably saw it a few times that way. Because it wasn't even like those second run movie theaters. It was like movies that were already out on VHS type thing. But to that point though, Sybok is such like an unknown character, I would say, as far as the general population. Majeed, let me ask, have you ever even heard of Sybok before this?
Yeah, from Mortal Kombat.
I don't know why I expected anything else from you. I really don't. I think with Sybok, he's a character we don't really know too much. Its only real exposure is that, just that movie experience, and it's gonna be interesting to see how they have him interact within the series. Is he gonna have a major role? Is he gonna have kind of like just a really small, like, here and there type thing? I first honestly thought that Angel was going to be that said villain, that she was going to be that main point, but then they reveal Sybok, and now I'm kind of wondering if he's going to be that potential reoccurring villain for the series.
I think Captain Angel could fill that role.
But how many times are they going to go back to these characters? This is supposed to be an episodic show. There aren't too many characters in the other series, Deep Space Nine excluded, that keep popping up over and over again. So, I don't know. I don't think we're going to see too much of either one of them again for the rest of this season. And
well, at least, in Captain Angel, they have this character that they can go back to, because I don't know, I think she was pretty formidable, or at least, so was Mudd when he had the time device. So, in Discovery, and they only went back to him once.
Well, he's only been there twice, and I think a short.
Yeah, there was a short trek, and then the two full episodes with him.
Yeah, but I don't know. So just again, I know we don't want to harp on Discovery, but when Mudd got the time device, the Groundhog Day device, he infiltrated obviously the Enterprise No, it was Discovery. It was Discovery. He got into Discovery pretty quickly, pretty easily, I might add. So that's 2 ships that have been compromised because of bad guys. If you can hear that, that's the dog trying to get in, by the way.
I just think about how often we've seen the flagship or any starship get infiltrated, though, in Star Trek over the years, and really isn't all that often.
There should be more people on that ship, regardless. Yeah, I think there's no way there's a crew of 20.
There was an episode of Next Generation where a small group captured the Enterprise. And the reason they were able to do it is because the entire crew was already off of the ship. Actually, there's 2 episodes off the top of my head. One of them was in season 1 with the Bynars. And the other one was, I want to say season 6, where Picard is doing the Die Hard on the ship by himself.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one, yeah.
Yeah.
But
so
I think that was kind of like one of the biggest detractors for this episode for me, was just that things were a little too easy without explanation. And then like the captors, it just didn't make sense how they created a mutiny when, if they were part of the same group, then like how did they create the mutiny?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you have like A squad and you have a B squad, right? So the A squad was infiltrating the ship. The B squad wasn't.
I suppose that could be.
Clearly, though, the mutiny didn't really go too well because they were still dealing with it by the time they rescued the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Right.
And by the way, that little personal transporter device, is that?
Oh, I don't think that was like a personal transport device. I think it was she signaled the other ship to transport her back.
Yeah.
But didn't she go to a smaller ship?
Yeah.
She did, yeah.
Okay.
Could have been a shuttle. Could have been anything, but something was there keeping a transporter lock.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, I got the impression it was a shuttle that was hiding.
Right, it was that spider-looking device that we saw hiding in the asteroids.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say that I wasn't completely enthralled with the villainous portrayal that Angel took. I just don't like the stereotypical cheesy, braggadocious villain that we got.
Those are the best kind of villains. Those are the villains that are a staple of Die Hard movies since Die Hard.
No, Die Hard was different. I don't agree with that one.
Oh man, I thought you were about to Die Hard. I thought you were about to badmouth Die Hard, and
no, I can never badmouth that movie.
Okay.
You know what I found funny was the when Spock was talking to T'Pring and on the bridge, and Angel just kept letting him talk, even though she knew it was like going south, rather than like trying to do anything. Be like, let me just shoot him one more time in front of her, and then be like, hey, maybe that will get him to shut up, kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think Angel was particularly good at being a villain.
No, not really.
Truth, like I would have done something different when I was infiltrating the ship.
Isn't Cybok though? Like, isn't he, if I remember correctly, not like a villain, so to say? He was like, I'm trying to find God, kind of thing. He wasn't like evil. He just had a different mission, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Thanos had a different mission too, but he was still a villain.
It's a good point. I mean, I think ultimately that sort of shade of gray makes for the best villain, though. Think about, characters like Gul Dukat, I think is a great example, Brad. He believed, 100% in what he was doing, and he felt that it was for the right reasons, even if it was evil. And Thanos is another great example of that. He 100% believed that what he was doing was the right thing for, humanity and the rest of the universe, is to eliminate half of everything.
Yeah. And I guess to that point, like, I didn't really feel that same feeling with Angel.
No, it was just kind of slapsticky evil.
Yeah.
I think. But
I get that.
But it didn't detract from the episode too negatively, at least not for me.
Okay. Gentlemen, anything else you wanted to bring up or talk about before we go into our scoring?
Yeah, when just one more thing. When Pike was on the pirate ship and they were attacking the Enterprise, there was a soundbite from the original theme. I'm not sure if you caught that.
I did not.
I did not know.
Yeah, there was a soundbite playing from the original theme lightly when they were attacking. So that was good to hear.
I have to try and see if I can track that down. That's cool. I love Easter eggs like that.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't catch it. I have to admit though, the kitchen on the pirate ship was far superior than my own kitchen.
Yeah, that's sad. But why'd they give him an apron?
Oh,
because he looks good in it.
That's fair. By the way, his hair wasn't messed up too much either.
No, he's hey man, Pike's looking good. Every single episode.
There you go.
Can we talk about the scene with Chapel and Spock and T'Pring?
Chapel to Puck.
Oh, Chapel. when Chapel and Spock make out.
Yeah. Because that's kind of a big deal for Chapel, right? And you could tell that she's like clearly torn up about it.
I think, yeah, to the after point is I think she's very clearly lying to Spock, and it's funny when she's like, I know where I stand with you because you're going to tell me the truth. But she's not going to tell him the truth.
Right. Do you think that Spock is telling her the truth though? Or do you think that Spock has feelings for her?
See, I don't really know. The whole like T'Pring and Chapel and Spock triangle, I'm not really sure how it's gonna play out. You know, it's clearly between Spock and Chapel. Chapel has some sort of clear feelings, and I don't really know about Spock, honestly, Drew. It's kind of hard for me to read. Majeed, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's unnecessary drama. I mean, you know, I think Chapel is probably a better fit for him, though. Because Spock has that free side, but the only reason why he wants to be with T'Pring is because it's a logical move to make. But, you know, Chapel seems to be a better fit for him, just personality-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that Chapel is a better fit for him. I do know that T'Pring is a bad fit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I just I'm having a real hard time with them exploring these things that with existing characters.
Yeah, T'Pring, you know, to her credit, she tried. Like, she's really trying to make this work.
She is, and I think that's, you know, great.
Right.
Well, because she doesn't come across as just like, you know, the jealous girlfriend. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would have been very easy for them to write, but they're taking a different path with it. They're showing they're showing Spock's wife as making a genuine effort to do something, you know, good for the relationship while still acknowledging the fact that Spock has responsibilities as a Starfleet officer.
Mm-hmm.
I think to your point though, Drew, is I kind of would prefer them to avoid Spock. I'd rather have them go over the other characters. You know, I would be okay with even Chapel. More so than Spock. And I could probably say even Uhura too. Mainly because she just doesn't get as much screen time compared to Spock over the years, and so we already know Spock. I want to learn more about the other characters.
I appreciate that they're not going for the low-hanging fruit with Spock, that they're finding the characters that were underrepresented in his past. T'Pring is a good example of that. Sybok is a good example of that. You know, perhaps we'll get some more of Sarek at some point. But I wish that, to what you're saying, I really do wish that they were focusing on other characters instead of focusing on Spock.
Yeah, I want to get some more Sing.
Yeah.
I don't even think Hemmer or Uhura were in this episode.
No, they weren't.
No, they weren't. You're right. By the way, Ortega's didn't seem as irritating to me this episode.
Well, that's progress. I know she's really trying very hard to appease you on a weekly basis.
I don't know if I appreciate your tone. The comments on how close you want to get, first date, second date, and Pike's general reaction, just a shoulder shrug, blind date. When Pike made a joke at the end, mateys, and when we find Captain Angel, make her walk the plank.
Yeah.
Number one's like, stop. And Ortega's is just laughing. She had the same reaction I did.
It was cheesy, but I
right. It was cheesy.
Well, I think there's a balance between it. Like some cheesy is good.
Yeah.
And like I like that part. That part was actually pretty good.
And by the way, we're not the only ones that find Captain Pike charming and handsome. The Orions do too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's charming and handsome.
Right. Yeah. He's zaddy.
What was it? Pike's Peak or something like that?
Oh God, his hair.
The hair, yeah. Like honestly, man, like that. Whoever does his hairstyle is phenomenal. I love that part and everything.
I think that's just him coming to set every day like that, and they're like, I don't want to touch it.
Why ruin what's already perfect?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. How do you fix perfection?
Man, I really like Anselmo. He's been really phenomenal nailing it as Pike.
Yeah, it would have been nice if he got a better shot at Black Bolt, but they ruined him on the Inhumans.
I'm happy to say though, like, it's not just the Christopher Pike show. It's not just the Anson Mount show. He's killing it. I'm really happy with his performance, but credit goes out to the entire cast. Like, they're really doing a great job.
Yeah, I still would like to see like an episode focused on M'Benga, Hemmer, and I guess Nurse Chapel. I really like the character, but no, I think it's overall pretty good.
I would agree.
Okay, so Drew, I'll start with you, buddy. What'd you think of the Serene Squall?
This is a total popcorn episode. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was silly. I never felt like there was any serious danger to the Enterprise or the crew. I thought Angel was an interesting character, but she kind of went into ultra cheese territory for me, which I'm not into that. So that's a little bit disappointing. So yeah, I mean, like, there was a lot of cheese in this episode. I thought the jokes that Pike was making with Ortega's, the pirate jokes, at the end of the episode, even Angel just kind of being a little over the top. It was fun, but I don't know. I wasn't really blown away by this episode. I think I'm going to land on a 6 with this one.
Ooh. I thought you were going to go with 7.
Well, that I can understand your thinking process behind that, Drew. There is the episode was, to me, I think you're right. Total popcorn. Majeed, how about you, buddy?
I'm going with a 7. I said it before, how many times I had to try and sit down with the episode since Thursday. It started off slow for me, and it just, didn't really scream great episode.
I was kind of surprised. I thought you would be a little bit higher, based upon the way you were talking about how you liked Angel and the character, the Die-Hard-esque kind of feel.
Right. I mean, listen, even though Angel went full Hans Gruber, it wasn't a great episode. It was a good episode, not great. Again, my phone was out.
Yeah,
my phone was out. If
you can't pull you away from the phone, then it's not that spectacular.
Yeah, just like Drew has his metric for whether or not it's a good episode by if he'll not change the channel. It's for me. It's will I put my phone away? And I didn't have my phone away. It was it was bad. So a 7. It was good, not great. What about you, Brad?
This was an interesting episode. Right off the bat, I really didn't care for Aspen. When they did the reveal and it was Angel, it made more sense. But I still didn't really care for the character. I really enjoyed the scenes with Nurse Chapel. I thought that was great. And I really did enjoy the interaction with Chapel and Spock. I think overall I was very disappointed though with the episode. Things were too easy. Enterprise was taken over real quick. The nobody pretty much like stopped or even fought any resistance to those invaders, the pirates. Then once everybody was captured, it was like two competing factions, but like were they really two competing factions? Were they the same people? Like there was no explanation, and this was a bit of a rough episode for me. I wouldn't say I hated it, but I can't really say like I enjoyed it too much. I think I'm gonna probably be a 5 with this one.
Wow.
It was that middle ground of very not spectacular, not bad, but it didn't catch any of my attention, and I was frustrated more so than anything with it.
Makes sense.
It wasn't like I want to emphasize though, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad episode. It just, for me, I didn't like the overall plot points and writing. It just unfortunately was. I think the only thing that really saved it was actually Nurse Chapel and her fight sequence and all that fun stuff. That kind of, and then the cooking part where Pike was cooking for the captors, and it was just like, come on guys, that's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, anything else you want to add for this week's episode?
No, I think I'm tapped out.
Okay, well, folks, next week we're going to be watching The Elysian Kingdom.
That's all I know about it, is just the title.
Yep. It's listed on Memory Alpha. That's all we got.
Yep.
I'm assuming it's probably about the Elysians.
Well, not to be confused. I think not to be confused with the race that number 1 is.
What is that race called?
Those are the Illyrians. So these
my God! You know what? I totally thought that was going to be the episode.
I did at first too, but it is a completely different word.
Well, I guess reading is important.
Comprehension is good.
Kids, stay in school. Well, I guess it's about some sort of kingdom. Maybe we get King Arthur and we can, go back in time. Oh, that would be cool. A time travel episode?
Let me see if this is a race that we've encountered before. I feel like it is.
Probably.
Well, there's an Elysian ruling council from Lower Decks. Governing body of Alicia. Huh. I don't know. Oh, it's not Lower Decks. I'm sorry. It's the animated series.
Really? Wonder if it's a throwback to the animated series.
I think that's what's going to be happening. I think we're getting a throwback to the animated series.
Okay, then.
So,
well,
that should be fun.
Tune in for that.
Yep.
Folks, well, I'd like to thank you for listening. Everyone have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to yet another Star Trek podcast. We're a part of the Retro Sessions Network. This episode was recorded on June 19th, 2022, and was hosted by Brad, Drew, and Majeed. This episode, as always, was edited by Drew, because Drew is God. God is Drew. Brad, Poorly somehow wrote the synopsis, and Majeed takes care of all the banging out artwork. Special thanks to William Grobelaar Music for our music Warp Speed and To the Stars. You can find him on SoundCloud. We'll have links in the show notes. Also, special thanks to George Rattal for additional artwork. He made us look like Lower Deck characters. Hit him up on Fiverr and you can too. We'll drop a link for him in the notes as well. We'd love to hear from you. Hit us up on TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter at yetanotherstpod, or shoot us an email, yetanotherstpod@gmail.com. We've also got a Discord room, so come on chat with us and say hello. Next week, we'll be watching The Elysian Kingdom. Watch along with us on Paramount Plus and let us know what you think of the episode. Show us your support by giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Plus, it helps support the site. It's free. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.